Allie. What's up, girl? How you feeling on this Thursday? We're coming to you on a Thursday because I do have a little prior engagement tomorrow. Just, some wrinkle relaxer I have to take care of, but normally we'll be on Friday.
Yeah, we're just starting our weekend a little early. We got Toasted Tigers, a great segment, some hot takes on Twitter that I need to address because I stand with Mama G's. So we got a lot to tackle on this Thursday episode of Tiger Takes.
Well, let's just get right to it because, like you said, Mama G's under fire in the Twitter world right now. You're pretty passionate about that yesterday, got all fired up. What is your stance on Mama G's for everyone joining us today? For those who don't know, which if you're watching the show, you probably know, Mama G's sandwich place, nacho, just like
an establishment of Auburn. I mean, I just don't like the takes are, oh, it's soggy sandwiches, or oh, the nachos are overplayed. First of all, I've seen half of the people that complain about Mama G's at 2:30 a.m. getting themselves a little $5 pitcher and $5 nachos. So that's my first hot take is you've definitely been there. So if you've been there and you go constantly, whether you're intoxicated or not, you can't hate on it. And two, I will admit, me and one of my friends from college did order a steamer because we were like, oh, we'll just make these at home. It's so easy. Folks, it is not easy. Whatever they are doing in that little kitchen of theirs cannot be replicated. You cannot make nachos the same. And I'll go down to my grave swinging that a Mama's Love all the way, no tomato, a large Diet Coke, and nachos, no peps, is the order that I get anytime I'm back in the plains, and it'll be my order for the rest of time. What about you? Are you a big fan of Mama G's?
I like the gobbler, and I love Mama G's. My dad took me from when I was a little kid, like going to Auburn games. So we'd always make sure to stop and get a sandwich. We'd wait in the long line on game days. But he was like, oh my gosh, you've got to experience this because, he experienced it when he was there. So I think it's so good. But yeah, I feel like everyone gets the Mama's Love. But I like the gobbler, a little rogue. Do you know what that one is?
That's your rogue. That's still like a classic.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, there's nothing better than nachos. The last time I had the nachos was post 2019 Iron Bowl victory, pre Sky Bar. So I worked my day and then went to Mama G's, and it was delightful.
I was going to say, I should have had sent in some photos. There's some photos of me at a post weekend Mama G's on a Sunday morning, looking less than ideal. But the hot takes of it were just so insane on Twitter. Like, oh, it's so overhyped, or oh, it's so classic. It's a sandwich shop. It's not expensive. People are like, well, you can make it at home. Well, yeah, I also order $25 salads that I can make at home for $5. So I'm really not in the market. It's more the ease and the atmosphere. You can write your name everywhere. Like, it's just a classic. So I'm here to tell y'all.
Do you know how it got started? Do you know how the beef got started yesterday? Like,
I think there was like I think there was like a meme going around, like, what's your hottest Auburn, like, hot take? And, there were some other ones like, oh, if Kerryon Johnson didn't get hurt in the SEC championship, Auburn would have won in 2017, which I agree with. If Chuma Okeke didn't get hurt, we would have went on to win it in 2019. But then there were some like food takes of bad barbecue, or someone said Toomer's Lemonade's overrated, which is, I'll start to sweat if we start talking about Toomer's Lemonade being overhyped. But it was I just wanted to clear the air. I got some people in my DMs saying that I looked like a Mama G sandwich, and that's fine. I take that to heart because it's one of my favorite spots. So I'm going down with them. Just wanted to clear the air with big Mama G girls over here.
Well, that's good. Well, you're the prettiest Mama G sandwich I've ever seen in my life. So keep it up, girlfriend.
Thanks. If anyone ever wants to come with me, I'm always down. So please invite me because I'll always be there.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, it's kind of fun, after an Auburn game on a Saturday, getting that Mama G's on a Sunday and watching some NFL, right?
Oh, yeah. Big. Oh, so I think there's a little difference. I think I'm definitely an NFL fan. I'm a fan of the Eagles. My quarterback, Oklahoma Sooners quarterback, Jalen Hurts, is here. I don't refer to him going to another school because that's just, not what I do. We have some Auburn players on our team. Jeff Driscoll is trying to get at a starting line position. So I'm a big Eagles girl. Not quite, NFL ride or die, but I know you didn't grow up in a state with, pro football. So how does it rank in you, on a Sunday afternoon?
I mean, I really just like follow whatever team Cam's on. Like, I have a Panthers jersey, I have a Patriots jersey. Like, since he got in the league, I've just followed him. I want to completely pledge my allegiance to a team. Like, I really want to, because I love NFL games. When I was in Tampa, I went to a bunch of Bucks games. Like, I always kind of say, and you hate it that I say I'm a Bucks fan, but I do say that I'm a Bucks fan because Tampa has my heart. But but it's not the same as like my parents having a team and them putting it on me and it be like a tradition, like Auburn was for me. But I just follow Cam wherever he goes. If he went to the CFL, I would buy that Montreal, whatever they are, jersey too. So, but it's fun, and it's always cool to follow the Auburn guys. I mean, that's the same for a lot of people from Alabama. Like, you have multiple teams that you go for on Sunday based on your Auburn players and where they're playing. So that's why today we're going to kind of talk about, we want you to let us know in the comments, what players are you excited to see this year in the NFL? We're not talking the players that just got drafted, like the Auburn players that maybe you've gone to a new team or that you just like in general. We want to know. So, Allie, you want to kick us off with your players, Auburn players you're looking forward to see play in the NFL this season?
Yeah, I mean, he's on a rival team for me, but Darius Slayton, wide receiver for the New York Giants, has led the Giants the last 2 seasons in receiving yards, which is pretty insane, coming out of a rookie year. However, in the offseason, the Giants have acquired a couple wide receivers. They definitely beat that up, but could it lead to him, one of the bigger name stars, drawing more cornerbacks? So he is still open. Is he going to lose some, opportunities? But he's just one of those guys that I think when you look back at Auburn, he was just always there. Like, he never missed a pass. I know some people compare him to Seth Williams. Now, in my opinion, I think Darius Slayton was like a little more reliable than Seth Williams. However, they both, made big plays. But Darius Slayton's just one of those guys that when he got drafted, everyone was like, oh, maybe. But then to come out and lead, a team as a rookie and then follow up in your sophomore season, with receiving yards. Now, like I said, they're my rival teams. The Giants aren't great by God, no means. But it's still really cool to see a guy that might have been underrated, coming out of it. And I was reading an article the other day on him that he has like a really good attitude about this season. Obviously I don't know, I'm not an NFL player or by any means an athlete, but I would assume, it'd be a little chip on your shoulder when they acquire, bigger name players in your position to come onto the team or, start boosting that up. I put a chip on my shoulder, and he seems to have a really good attitude about it. Injuries happen and you have to have depth. That's what the NFL, I think, has a little more difference over college football, is guys go down a little easier just at that level. So it's good to have, backups, but it sounds like he's ready to fight and continue to lead. So I think that would be one of the ones. He was so fun to cover at Auburn. He's always a really sweet kid. He always answered my calls and text messages on the first go around, which is very rare when you're covering high school football recruits. And he was just always a really good kid. Cody Burns had recruited him. They had a really good relationship. And Auburn, obviously, I think, had some issues at quarterback. One quarterback would be good this year, then Jarrett Stidham wasn't so great the following year. And so it's kind of flux, and that's difficult as a wide receiver. But he was definitely a guy that I was surprised to see make it and be so well known. He had some crazy catches. I think he had like a 90-yard catch for a touchdown. But he is definitely a guy that I would say is on my radar this year to watch for my number fifth guy for a former Auburn player. What about you?
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. If y'all hear dogs in the background, I do have dogs. Sorry. I do live in a 1-bedroom apartment. So also they're just barking at something. So maybe I agree with you, Alan. Maybe they're big Darius Slayton fans as well. I like to follow him on Instagram because he does. Yeah. Darius is this like funny thing on Instagram where you ask a question and his question's always like, what's the craziest reason like you broke up or got broken up with or broke up with someone? And the answers are literally so hilarious. Funny. He does it like several times, and it's just, go follow him on Instagram and watch his Tell Me the Craziest Reason You Got Broken Up With segment, and it's really fun. So for me, number 5 guy, KJ Britt.
Before we go, he does hate Mama G's and did tweet that, so it's like a knock. That's why he's not higher on my list, but that's okay.
That's why, yeah, you know what? He could have been better. And that's why number 5. My number 5 guy is KJ Britt.
Good one.
Because one, we all know he's awesome. He's going to the Bucks. Tampa Bay, they love Oxford when they originally drafted Quan Alexander, who went to Oxford along with KJ Britt. And I just think it's so cool that he's already in the NFL because I still remember, and Allie, I remember this, when he announced his commitment to Auburn, it was that Halloween video with the Hershey bar. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking at the time, this is so extra. Like, this is so extra. But now you have recruits going skydiving and announcing their commitment, and it's just really incredible. So he was one of the OGs, I think, for that. And I'm just excited to see him get down there and join. Oh my gosh. I'm going to go let the dogs outside. Hold on 1 second because we cannot talk with them doing this. Boys. No.
Well, while Lyndon goes to handle that, I think another interesting thing about KJ Britt is he, at Auburn, again, I think is one of those guys that might have been underutilized or may not have performed as high as maybe people thought he did. And so it's another guy who, has a chance to really ball out in the NFL. I think when guys come in with a chip on their shoulder, if they were underdrafted or didn't go as high as they wanted to go, they come in and they want to play and have an attitude about it. And I think at his position, an attitude is what you need. And you're going to work with Tom Brady. I mean, it doesn't really get much better than that. You're going to a Super Bowl, a Super Bowl team. So I think it's a really good fit for him.
I think it'll be a great fit for him too. And maybe they'll go back to back. So wish KJ nothing but the best in his rookie season. Who's up next for you, Allie?
So my number 4 is one of my all-time favorite guys that I covered at Auburn, Marlon Davidson. I mean, an absolute stud. He was part of that defensive line, under Rodney Garner with Derrick Brown. And it was just unbelievable to watch those two just go at it and absolutely scared the poop out of whoever was lining up against them. So funny, so charismatic, had his mom, pass away and just dealt with it just like such a great man. And was just so grown up and would take an interview with class, whether it was after a loss or a big win. He just really appreciated the opportunity. And I think I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about him. And we also share the last name minus a D. So that's always good. But he got drafted to the Falcons pretty high. And I think there's a lot of high hopes. It's a hometown team. Whenever, the Falcons get to draft, a kid within the area that they may have, watched in college grow up, I think that's always a little added pressure. The Falcons, I think haven't drafted, I think, an Auburn player in quite some time. So it was a big win. And unfortunately he got hurt and was placed on the COVID protocol injury list in October and didn't get to come back until the last year, and was kind of hot and cold when he was able to come back, obviously after an injury like that. But after hearing some stuff from OTAs and reading some articles, it sounded like they're really impressed with him, which isn't surprising in the least. I think a guy with that kind of talent, along with who my number 1 is, a little sneak peek of who I'm so excited to watch. But I think guys like that with so much talent, it's very rare that they don't pan out. I mean, he has the size, he has the feet, and if he can get, if he gets the coaching, I think the sky's the limit for him. Now, injuries aren't good. Going down, your rookie year obviously doesn't set the standard. There's some other Auburn players that have dealt, with injuries like Kerryon Johnson. That just has been so unfortunate in the NFL. But I think if he can overcome it, and it sounds like he's doing really well, I think the sky's the limit. And again, not a Falcons fan by any means, but I would go and pay NFL ticket prices to go watch Marlon. He's just a kid that you want to root for. And I think the Auburn fan base, still holds him very high regard. So that's going to be really exciting to see him, hopefully, fingers crossed, have a really, really good sophomore season this year. Who's your number 4?
Noah Igbenogany, and that name is so hard to say. I know.
What a name.
I feel like I finally got it down. If I haven't, then y'all can correct me in the comments. But I feel like I've finally got it down. I've said it a lot over the past year working for AL.com, doing the flash briefings, because he's been a huge talking point ever since he was drafted in 2020 with that 30th overall pick to the Dolphins. And he got on the field a little bit during his rookie season. And he said, he was kind of young last year, and this year he feels like maybe not so much age-wise, but maturity grown up a lot. And the coaches down there in Miami just are so high on him. And speaking of sky's the limit, he's only played cornerback for like 2 years. So just, he is just getting started. He's still almost learning that position, and I think that's what the coaches like, is they can kind of mold him into the type of player they want him to be. They're trying him out on different sides. So I think this year could be a huge breakout year for him, and I'm really excited to see what he can do for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Auburn made that switch for him, and it was kind of not surprising, but, whenever you make that switch I think he was a 4-star, pretty high-rated 4-star, there's always a little doubt on why, or, is this going to limit him in the NFL? And most of the time they're making that switch for playing time and because they think that their talents are going to be in the NFL at the other side. Very rarely do coaches make that switch without that, in the back of their mind. So I think, again, when guys come in with chip on their shoulders, but he was one of the ones that was more, ranked probably higher than a lot of people thought. I don't think anyone thought he'd go 30 overall. I mean, I certainly didn't. That's pretty high for a guy who just only had 2 years, but he balled out in those 2 years, and that plays out. And that's kind of like the raw potential that you were talking about. And I think something that I always forget about NFL is, when these guys get signed, they're 18 and 19 years old coming out of college, and they're thrown into this world of 40-year-old Tom Brady's, you know what I mean? Like that's a big wide jump of, going from 18 to 19. And so I think when people are like, oh, they didn't have a great rookie year. Oh, they need to grow up. No kidding. My jump from 18 to 19 into the real world was a sure hell awakening for me. And I had time, and I wasn't getting paid millions or on national TV. So I can only imagine, that jump for them as well. So I think that's a good pick. And I think it's a hard name to say, and I wonder how it fits on the back of the jersey. I don't think I can see it. Is it shortened, or is it the whole name?
I think they do the whole name. They just squeeze them in there.
Man, Auburn. Yeah, I think Auburn fans had some time to get used to it. So hopefully the Dolphin fans are practicing down there in South Florida. But to bring it back up a little north in my home state, in my hometown in Tampa. We're going to do a combo, guys, because these guys kind of made themselves a name on the Super Bowl championship team. Part of the Grave Diggers back end, they greatly named themselves down in Tampa Bay. And I think two guys that had high potential, Carlton Davis, very highly NFL draft. I mean, he played phenomenal at Auburn, was always reliable, obviously had some things to need to work on, as do so many, but I think there was a lot of high expectations when he was drafted. And same with Jamal Dean, he kind of struggled at Auburn. He came into Auburn after injury, kind of struggled with Auburn, with injury. So, but had the height. I mean, at that position, when you're as tall as he is and has the speed that he has, it's almost impossible not to make that work. And so when those two guys came down, obviously it's so fun seeing them wear Auburn stuff after the games and, trade jerseys with other Auburn people. But it's just wild that these two rookies are in the Super Bowl championship, grave diggers back corner and work with Tom Brady. And Carlton Davis got more playing time and made some pretty big plays and was sometimes, covering the best wide receiver for whoever the Bucs were playing, which is a tall task, for a rookie. And he held his own. And I think there's a lot of hype going into that back end because you can really build upon that. I mean, it's very rare that you get two guys in a year that can, be that cornerstone for years to come. And I mean, when you're playing in Tampa Bay and you can go out to the pool after a win or, go sit in the sun in the palm trees, there's a lot to be desired. So I think those guys are going to be in the Tampa Bay for a long time. And they've definitely solidified themselves as two of the best, back end cornerbacks in the country for sure.
I ran into them at Gasparilla 2020. We were at American Social in Tampa. And you're dressed like a pirate, so I'm looking a mess. I think I wore black lipstick that year, so kind of scary. And I remember seeing them. Of course, they're together, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Carlton, Jamel, War Eagle!" And I go get a picture with them. I was just, I went full fangirl in my pirate outfit.
But don't you think it's so fun that it's two Auburn guys that are playing together and kind of grew up at Auburn together and now are playing to me that's just one of the coolest stories in NFL is having a tandem like that. And there are two guys that really love Auburn still.
They're always
about
together.
Big games. Yeah, and they're always together. They tweet about big games. They're always watching, the Iron Bowl together. So I just think that's a really cool story for Auburn fans to watch this year to see how they grow and continue to ball out and with a chance to repeat. I mean, never count Tom out. So that would be pretty wild to see.
Nope.
What about you?
Go Bucks, go.
We're at the middle of the road. I think our top two are some big names.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think a lot can guess. But who is your third before we get to those two big ones?
I'm just ready to see Anthony Schwartz do his thing in the NFL. For Cleveland, I think he'll learn a lot behind Jarvis and Odell. I know he was, targeted the most last season for Auburn. And we obviously know he's the Flash. He's super fast. I'm just waiting to see with that NFL training, like how he can be used there for the Browns. I know they mentioned like using him just like with the deep ball a lot, but he's my number 3 just for simply the fact that he's super, super fast.
Now, what do you think about how he's kind of handled his social media presence? I mean, he definitely lets the world know and is willing to race anyone, willing to bet anyone. Do you think that when he gets to the Cleveland, or I guess he's in it now, when he's in the Cleveland locker room, they're kind of putting him in his place? Like, hey, boy, until you get out there, let's keep it tight. Or do you like the cockiness that he's kind of bringing, saying like, hey, I might not have had the chance I had at Auburn, but I'm here to, show the world what I've got in the NFL.
I think I like the cockiness. I think it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just going off, everyone knows he's going to be a rookie. The older guys know he's going to kind of come in hot. I mean, come on, he gets drafted. Yeah. He's feeling good. I think the cockiness, as long as he can, at least back it up on the field with production, he can go race anyone. It's almost like Juju kind of with the Steelers. Like, you can TikTok all you want, but like, the moment you start dropping those passes, that's when people, like, as you saw last season, kind of turn on you like, oh, you're so cute on social. Where's the cuteness, on the field? So I think as long as he can be good on the field for the Browns, I would love to see him race people.
Yeah, I'm always curious because obviously, like, a lot of older guys, they didn't grow up with social media, but now it's kind of like a branding tool. I mean, these guys use it to get brand deals. They use it to make money that they couldn't make in college. So I'm always interested to see how like the older guys always take these guys for a quick lift on Twitter. And are the first ones to say something. If there's ever any like locker room, I think we saw some of that with Juju and all the TikToks and all that. So I'm always just curious if they give them a little rookie taste and put them in their place. So our big two, now you have this guy ranked as your number 1. He's not quite my number 1 only because I'm just nervous.
That's atrocious.
I know, but after this last year, my number 2 is Cameron Newton with the New England Patriots. Man, oh man, did I talk my talk when he got drafted, and I was hoping he would walk the walk last year. Now, I do think it's not all his fault. I think he had 0 weapons. He had 0 offensive line, and very similar to what he had at Carolina. And he was just doing everything he possibly could. During a difficult season, this was a weird season having, all of these protocols and all this. So it wasn't exactly how you'd want him to start. But I talked my talk, and boy, oh boy, did people go back and find those tweets and just retweet it and say, what happened to him winning the Super Bowl with Belichick, blah, 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 which I deserve. If you're going to talk the talk, you got to be able to accept the consequences that come with that. But it sounds like, now I'm going to be a little hesitant, that Belichick is way more impressed with him this past year. I think they've added some weapons. I think, second year, he's not really a second year slump. You know what I mean? He's been in the league so long that I don't really think that applies. But I think this is getting just him more comfortable in New England. It's a different kind of fan base. It was difficult coming into a situation where everyone's beloved God was leaving, and then watch them win the Super Bowl without him. So I think it was a very, very, very difficult situation for Cam Newton to come into. And he's a little out there, he's not a New England guy. He walks a little differently. He dresses a little differently. So I think it was just a shock of everyone up north. But it sounds like he do what we think he does best. I mean, he's going to go down as one of the most talented, if not the best college football athlete of all time. Especially at quarterback. And it's almost insane that he hasn't won a Super Bowl. It's almost insane that he came so close at Carolina and then just kind of fell off due to injury or difficulties, with personnel surrounding him. But I really think be careful, because I think he might be able to make a big statement up there with Belichick. What do you think?
Yeah, he's my number one, so we'll go ahead and address it right now. I mean, I put him as my number one because of the reasons you said. I think it's a good point. Like, it is hard to follow the GOAT, Tom Brady, but can you think of anyone else would be better than Cam? Because he can just, like, shut out the noise. Like, he is out there. You see it on social media, and I truly think, like, though, he doesn't care. Like, he does not care that you're talking about him on Twitter. He does not care that that you don't like him as much as you like Tom Brady and you think, what are the Patriots doing? Like, I truly feel like, from like the one time I met him and got a picture, that he has that personality where he can block out noise and just focus on him. And I think, like what you said, he came in last July, he missed a lot. I think now having that full year and going through the training and learning the system, that we're going to see a completely different quarterback for New England this year.
I do too. And we actually have a pretty fun announcement. Auburn just announced a home and home with Miami for 2029 and 2030. God almighty, I think I'm going to be almost 40, so holy smokes. But that's Miami is one of the coolest, legendary history, tradition football teams, as well as Auburn, two polar opposite programs when it comes to tradition and history and pedigree. But wow, you can catch my behind in South Florida going to that 2029, 2030 home and home with Miami.
Oh my gosh, that makes me so excited. Miami's one of my favorite cities. Oh my goodness. I don't know how old I'll be. 2029, that's 8 years from now. I'll be 36.
Okay, so I'll be 30. I'll be 35. I won't be 40. I was doing some quick math there, and I was like, oh my God, if I'm 40, I guess the kiddos are coming with me, except they're coming on down to South Florida. So that's a really cool, Auburn still has some guys down there. I mean, they've got Rhett Lashley, who's the OC down there right now. Now, in 10 years, will he still be the OC? Probably not. And then at one point, they had Travis Williams down there, and then he followed Gus up over to UCF. But that's a really cool, good for Allen Green. That's why I love Allen Green, because he's not afraid to go out there and get it done and do some cool home and homes. And that's what Auburn needs. You can only play Clemson so many times for a fan base to get a little tired of it. So this is exciting. Some breaking news on Tiger Takes.
You heard it here first. Tiger Takes. And our take is we're pumped. We are pumped. Okay, really quick. Oh, what were you going to say?
No, go for it.
Oh, I was just going to go back to the list, but if you want to talk some more about Miami.
Done. Oh, no. We can go back to our list because, go to your number 2 and then I'll end on my number 1. So we'll kind of bounce back.
Yeah, so I discussed my number 1. So I have a picture, and this picture should just tell you why this is my number 2, which is a strong number 2. If you post this photo on social media, that's Carl Lawson. If you post that photo and you say guns for hire and your guns are blazing, they're shimmering, they're ready to go to work, why would I not be excited to watch you play this season? He is now with the Jets, and I think it's going to be awesome.
That is a terrifying
And he posted, which is so funny. It's an awesome photo. Like, my guns are not for hire. My guns are on.
Mine are little baby guns. So you wouldn't want to hire either of us to do what Carl Lawson's about to do. But no, that's a strong number 2. That's a strong number 2. And go for it.
I mean, last season he, was one of the top guys in the league. He's number 2 in quarterback hits, so he can get to the ball. And the media asked him this week, what's your sack goal for 2021? And he went in this whole thing how, he doesn't want to set goals or announce them because of external factors. Doesn't want to weigh him down. But he just said, sky's the limit, and he's ready to go to work. And by that photo, that says it all. Guns for hire. He was hired by New York, and I think he'll just continue his success there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of his personality. He's always been, sky's the limit, and I'm not going to worry about kind of external factors. I mean, he was part of that class that after 2012, Chizik got let go. They brought Gus Malzahn, pretty early. But when your coach leaves, you got to look at your options as only fair. And so he flirted with Tennessee a little bit, and he ended up sticking with Auburn, which is, I think, thank God, because he had an absolute stellar career. But I think that's a good testament to what kind of player he is. You know, when you're that loyal and you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to kind of he had stepped up to keep that class together. You know, he was kind of the shining golden star of that class. And for him to step it up and say, you know what, no, I'm here. And I mean, look what they did in 2013. Hell of a year to step up. But I think that's a good testament to what kind of NFL player he's been. He's always kind of just kept his head down and grinded. And success is paying off. And I would hire him to be my bodyguard and to take down anybody. So I think that's good news for the Jets that they have got him locked down.
Well, wrap us up. Who are you most excited about to see play this year in the NFL?
My all-time, my boy, Derrick Brown, #1 draft pick. I mean, it could go down as one of the best defensive tackles in Auburn, defensive ends. You know, that senior season was almost like, I'm getting goosebumps, was almost unbelievable. I mean, he stayed for his senior year. His character is so high. He's a great dad to 2 little kids. And he had a great rookie season. I mean, he won a couple of awards, and Panthers drafted him 7th overall. I mean, that's a lot of money and a lot of stake that they're putting in a kid like that. And for the Panthers to make it and to make some, you know, moves this year, it's on him for that defense. You know, he is the captain of that defense, and it kind of is revolving around what kind of momentum and how he plays is how kind of affects the rest of the defense. And I just remember covering him, and it was just laughter and giggles and respect for Auburn. I mean, coming back for your senior year, he could have left his junior year and gotten first-round draft pick and gotten that money, but he wanted to come back. He wanted to finish his degree. He wanted, you know, to love on the Auburn fans one more year because of all the love that they gave him. And I just think guys like that, I think a lot of guys on our list are like that, but he just always stood out to me as just an Auburn man, as cheesy and burner and lame as that sounds, that I'm sure will get roasted on. He really is an Auburn man. And he handled his recruitment so respectfully and so grown up. He handled his entire career at Auburn so respectfully, and you know, really represented that AU brand as you want a star player to represent. He was never really in scandal. He never, you know, had off-field issues. He did it the right way. And I think that pays off. You know, I think that character in the NFL goes a lot farther than a lot of people realize. You know, sure, people can have, you know, second chances or grow up or, you know, stumble and find their way. But when a kid already has that kind of level of character, that's a guy you want to build your team around. And, you know, there's a lot of change going on at the Panthers. There's a lot of, you know, new going on. And I think he has an opportunity to be one of those guys that stays with the team for his career and makes a Hall of Fame name for himself. So I'm pumped to see my guy D Brown out there. His little kids and their little Panthers uniforms are just the cutest things ever. He still goes back. I think he went back and met Brian Harsin. So like, that's a guy, you know, he doesn't know Brian Harsin from his left foot, you know what I mean? From a guy from Boise State, but to go back and talk to the team and understand that it wasn't just a coach for him, it was a school, is something I love to see. So my guy, T Brown, rooting for you. I can't wait. Hopefully I can get up to a game to come watch you play. But that is who I would say is my most excited player, former Auburn player, heading into the NFL this season.
Awesome. Well, before we go, guys, that is our list. We would love for y'all, even after the show's over, still leave comments on the Facebook feed. We'll go back and read them and see who you're excited to watch. But like we said, we end every single show with our Tiger Toast. So I know it's Thursday, but we're going to get it started early. Allie, what are you toasting to this week?
I think I am going to toast to... It's a good question, actually. First of all, my drink of choice this week is going to be a Vizzy Seltzers. I think that's the plan because I just got a box and I'm going to be pulling it and not leaving my apartment all weekend. So I'll be cheersing adultly and respectfully and right with a Vizzy Seltzer this weekend. I think my Tiger Toast is honestly Auburn Twitter. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a part of Auburn Twitter. I kind of like to stay out of most of the drama and just kind of like to watch it unfold. But they make it fun, and they certainly have their takes, whether they're horrible or not. But it's fun to have a group of people love Auburn so much, like to joke on them, like to pounce on them, but it makes seasons more fun and it makes, interacting in social media a lot more fun. So I would give a toast to Tiger or to Auburn Twitter, the bad and the good and the ugly that comes with it. But I think that collective group of people, whoever you are, you make it fun. Lynn, what's yours?
Awesome. So I'm going to drink a Coors Light. I'm going to toast that this weekend because it is Father's Day weekend. So my Tiger toast is to all the Auburn dads out there. And I cannot wait to be on Lake Martin with my Auburn alumni koozie, drinking a Coors Light with my dad on Sunday. So that's
I totally forgot it was Father's Day. Well, tell your dad, one of my favorite people on earth, happy Father's Day. I'm sure he's watching. But I think that's our show. So thanks again, guys, for joining us for Tiger Takes Week 2. We have so much to look forward to. I promise to clean up my desk the next time that I come. You do see I rock my Auburn alumni diploma, the most expensive piece of paper I've ever bought, but my favorite piece of thing that I own in the background. We're so excited to continue on with this show for you guys. And I didn't exit the show. I didn't have bad audio. I didn't have any bad text.
Irish goodbye.
We made it
just a bunch of dogs barking this time. But yes, we're going to get it all together.
They were just so excited.
Thank you all so much.
Awesome, Lynn. Well, I'm sure I'll talk to you after this on our 15th phone call of the day. But thanks again, guys, for joining us. And we will talk to you guys next week for Tiger